be chilling tonight. I need to feel tonight, man. Hey, man, where my radio, man? Yeah, let's go. I need you to turn that up. Jamming tonight. Turn on the radio. You and I turn on the radio. Yeah.
Pull the way up like we in a club. Fly flashy, grown classy, so turn it to dub. Saturday mornings, no walk of shame, we fresh up. 950 lounge, that's my guilty pleasure. I don't miss my favorite show, I put everything on hold. Work the baby, even the babysitter know. When 950 come on, don't bother. I'm locked in 10 to 1, no problem. Turn on the radio. You and I turn on the radio. Yeah.
But in any event, we got a brother here that's here next to me, and his partner is the guy. If you're in the music, just heard one of his songs with Tony Tuch. If you're really into
Tony
Tuch. Shut up. You know, if you're really into music and you're really about the sound, he's here today. Gonna talk about. He's got his partner here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 9 Lounge, the legendary Jason Malletman Taylor and Devone Tuch. What's going on?
Pleasure to be here, man. All right, kid.
Forgive me, fellas. I got a million things happening. The phones are ringing. I got to throw my hat. Hey, my hat. Thank you. Thank you. I got a million things happening. But fellas, thank you for getting up early this morning. I know artists. This is rough. Yeah, I know. Studio heads, but I appreciate you coming in this morning, man. Let me start with you, Malletman. Obviously, again, you know, a long history of music, kind of blending. I look at you as a blender. I don't look like a blender, no, but a blender of music and sound. Where I think, again, this day and age, when you know, I don't know if the actual instruments are being appreciated like they used to be, but you're kind of bringing that to this audience, to a traditional audience, and keeping it yourself relevant. Talk about that a little bit, just how you've able to fuse the music throughout the years, and obviously how it works for you now in 2017.
Wow, you know, well, I think you laid that down like beautifully, man.
Well, thank you,
round of applause just for that.
Oh, thank you, Rashad Johnson, Jim.
You ain't have to do that, Rashad.
He laid that out good. Well, first of all, as always, before I start speaking, I always like to give thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making all things possible, because without Him, there's no me.
Yes, sir.
Or us. It's a pleasure to be here. Mm-hmm. I was able to make it here safely, so that's the first.
And you're sharp too. You came in here clean.
Dapper, as I like to
Sunday
say.
morning fresh. This whole thing, man. This whole thing.
It's all good. It's all good.
Just grabbed this out the closet on my way out.
No, it's just, you know, well, basically, you know, it started with the Lionel Hampton. Well, it really didn't start with Lionel Hampton, but Lionel Hampton was included in this whole process of trying to make a difference, you know. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm from Brooklyn, New York originally.
Yes, sir. So
no, you know, and I'm proud to be from Brooklynite. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I also learned from a lot of, you know, I got to give a shout out to, you know, 4 major cats that have blended me into the world of the Bronx. You know, Richard Harrison, one of the baddest drummers out. Billy Grant, one of the famous bass players from the Bronx. Will Calhoun, and Olive Joseph. Yeah. They're from here, you know, from the Bronx, and you know, give it up to them for the Bronx, you know what I mean? But I started in Brooklyn. R&B was in my blood, right? You know, when I turned on the radio coming up, I used to listen to Brass Construction, BT Express, Mass Production, Ohio Players, you know, Skin Tight, you know, and all that was in my blood first. Yeah. You know, and then as time went on, like I said, other blessings, being brought into the jazz world. Yeah. I'm admiring the Tuch Allistons and the Lionel Hamptons. Never knew I was going to live with Lionel Hampton.
Right, we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah. So Lionel Hampton, for those of you not familiar, Lionel Hampton was one of the big band leaders of, you know, with Benny Goodman. That's the world of swing jazz. Yeah. And, you know, you might want to Google on Lionel Hampton, but he was like the granddaddy of the vibraphone, which is not, it's the difference between the xylophone and the vibraphone. So I'm playing the actual vibraphone. Right. And between the Brooklyn world and the jazz world, I had it all mixed in me, and I was trying to figure out how to find myself. You know, I noticed as long as you know, stay focused, you can become your own individual person.
But how is that, being a young man growing up in Brooklyn, and everybody's doing this? So everybody's going left, and you want to go not so much right. You just kind of want to jag it in the middle a little bit. Yeah. But how's that pressure growing up? Because again, I mean, everybody's like, "What are you doing, Jason?" I don't know when they calling you Malletman yet. Yeah, but what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, we all rocking here, and you doing this.
Right. Well, you know, as I was coming through it, like I said, me being in Brooklyn, everything was all about horns back then. You know, mass production, you know, brass construction. You know, Randy from when we created the group Sky. You know,
they were up here.
They were, they were all like horns. It's like horns and big bands, and I got hooked on this whole xylophone thing. So I wanted to try to figure out how to incorporate it. So while everybody else was listening to those groups and the Jackson 5 and the Motown sound, my mom told me about this cat Lionel Hampton. So you know when you're young, your father, your mom tell you something, you're curious. Yeah. It's like a sponge. So I held on to it. You know, and so they called me everything from, oh, you a faggot, you playing the little bells like a girl, you know, and you this, you that. So I really was stereotyped, you know what I mean? They, oh, you don't fit with us, you know. But my goal was to be me. Yeah. You know, I wanted to be who I was.
And probably look at them now and look at you. Can I get down? No, remember what I was before, you know what I'm saying?
I play little bells, you don't want to play with that.
You wanna come play these bells with me now, huh?
Look. That's all. Let's get Devone in the mid. Devone Tuch. Obviously, again, you know your lineage is pretty deep. Lisa Coach Jam, producing. You produced this last song we heard. Talk about your relationship with Malletman and how it linked in.
Well, when Mallet met me, it was kind of funny. I had braids then. I looked like a straight, like
D'Angelo.
Brown sugar.
Yeah, so you know, I was in a whole nother culture, so I'm coming there and I actually play the piano. Classically trained, and I play by ear, grew up in church, you know. Right. So when he saw me, you know, one of his managers knew of me and said, basically, you know, you got to put him on. And, you know, he was like, this hip-hop kid, you know. Yeah. So until he heard me play, you know, a jazz standard, Take the A Train. And, yeah. And after that, and not me soloing, the rest is history. Yeah, so we've been tight ever since.
So from a standpoint, you kind of, I guess, kind of almost like saw your future, your past and your future, because you kind of experienced a little bit of that. So to take a guy that maybe didn't look so much the cut, but he had the talent.
Yes. Right. Extremely. Yeah. You know, and I was like, you know, I was looking for uniqueness. Then after be with Lionel Hampton, I thought Lionel Hampton was so unique. You know, playing the vibraphone. How many cats, you know, play the vibraphone, xylophone, you know. And I studied his history. You know, I moved in with him. Then I was, you know, hanging out with all sorts.
Let's talk.
Wait. Before we talk into that, because a lot of the people out there wants to know what's the difference between a vibraphone and a xylophone.
You got it. I was looking forward to that. Well, first of all, these are mallets. So you got it.
And that's why he's a Malletman.
He's a mallet. So
why did I be knocking you in the eyeball?
So basically, what it boils down to is a vibraphone is metal bars on a frame with a sustain pedal like the actual piano. And it has resonators, which most people just call them pipes. You know, I'll accept the pipes. And it has a motor on it, which is really optional. So you can still play it if it's not a motor. But the motor actually rotates fans inside the resonator underneath the bars, and it gives it a vibrato effect. So you remember back in the day, Cowboys in the right. So you turn on the motor, and you press on the sustain pedal. That leaves the bar open. You hit the bar, and it rings. And then as the fans inside are turning, it gives it a vibrato effect. So that's where the word vibra comes into play with phone.
You know, some women like, ooh, that looks good. Do it again. He said, sorry, it keep going, you know what I'm saying? As soon as you set the vibration, like, woo! You better go ahead with that. Never do that to me, Henry.
Who the hell is Henry? So okay, you're in Brooklyn, growing up in Brooklyn, big BK, stand up, and you playing the vibraphone. Where'd you find a vibraphone in the hood?
All right, well, basically,
a lot of places you can find a vibraphone. It ain't gotta be an instrument; it could be something of a woman. You know, I can find a lot of things.
Malletman wouldn't be called. He wouldn't be Mallet.
What's the show rated? What's the show rated?
He said, "Y'all from Brooklyn, stand up, woman."
Where'd you get your first vibraphone?
Well, you know, after Curiosity, and I was playing drums for a little bit. You know, my mom had bought me that. You know, that one drum with the cymbal. Right. You know, you bang on that one drum and the cymbal. eventually, you know, I told my mom, I want a vibraphone. She said, well, I ain't getting you no vibe. I can't afford to
They
buy you.
said that in the Sears as Christmas
Well,
catalog.
no, actually, my brother-in-law, my mom, you know, they hooked up. And for Christmas, they bought me a little piccolo concert xylophone.
Okay.
And it was like, you know, it was 3 octaves, it was made of wood, it was in looked like a guitar case. And it sat on a little tripod stand. So I took advantage of it. You know, I felt it out. I started listening to the radio, started, you know, building the idea of how to create who I am now with what world I was in.
Right.
In other words, you know, I figured, they always say vision without execution becomes hallucination.
Correct. Speak on it, bro.
You know, and the thing is, you know, after a period of time, it comes a point where all the things that you're going through are basically preparing you for what you asked for.
Yes.
So if you put yourself there, you're gonna become there. And that became my mission.
So as a young man, you get this instrument, and already you're saying, yes, this is gonna be my ticket. Right. This is gonna be my baby. That's why that's deep. That's what's going on.
That's all I knew, you know, and I didn't want to change. I didn't want to be somebody I wasn't. Right. As they say, you know, it's good, you know, people are more content with imitating versus originating. Everybody wants to be where, you know, if you're with Prince, you can put on the purple, you Purple Rain. You could be 1999. But my question in life is, what happens when 1999 is gone? How have you made a difference in a child's life?
But see, sometimes people are scared to let that go.
Right.
They want to hold on to that era where I was a superstar or I was a great person. Like the simple fact that you evolved yourself, that you brought this young man in, shows that there's something different about you. Where you're not just saying, I'm the Malletman and that's it, and this is the music I'm gonna play, and this is the only music I'm gonna play. The simple fact you choose to evolve and grow within the music shows the difference between a lot of artists. Because we have a lot of artists out here that don't want to give up what they've done for so many years straight because they feel that they've made money that way.
It's like you know, the old school. I'm not gonna say old, but it's like the old music. You come in with the new music, and y'all combining both talents.
That's what it's
making a new lane and making a new lane.
Again, I think it's needed because you know, if music has always represented struggle, life, and future of life. Like, if you hear a good song, man, a good song can make you feel I can make it through this hard day. You know, you hear a good song, it makes you feel, you know, helps your soul. I think that's why, again, I had a gentleman. You might have known this guy, Ron Holt's a good friend of mine. Used to be in the music business for many years. He talked about the 808s can actually affect your mental, and I'm sure you know, Devone, you can touch on that. Like, people actually, because of music, they hear something so cryptic or so hard beat wise, it can actually make them angry or emotional or and I think we're seeing that with a lot of our music where we just say is, oh, our kids. No, we got 40-year-olds running around listening to certain music that is making them angry and bringing out something. Now, can you talk about that from a musical standpoint?
Depending on different frequencies of bass or whatever, it can affect your mood. I won't get into it, but there's a frequency that can even make girls whatever.
Oh, woo woo.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what frequency is that? No, you can't just throw that out there. Like,
Osborne got that one.
That's only for Jason to know. You know?
That'll be the only music Justin
no, I need to know what I need to start playing in my car.
Jason, like, give me that beat.
But you
I need to know what channel that was. Station's that on?
On the kick drum.
But yeah, you know, of course, a lot of people doing trial and error through studio figured out all these different things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, music just supposed to, for me, make you feel good.
Right.
And with that being said, with the CD that he's doing, that we did actually.
Take some credit for you, brother.
You know, the thing that I appreciate from him is he allowed us to try and go now, and he has some stuff. So he just showed, in an essence, all right, this is a vibraphone, but you don't have to play jazz. You don't have to play the standard with this. And hopefully this can carry on, and he can just be the vehicle to bring music to a whole nother.
It's like, like I said, you combine your talents. Like, you combine what you know about, and he combined what he know about. Now y'all just starting a whole new lane. Y'all just
Right.
building a whole new highway.
We'll take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll keep this conversation going. We'll talk about that Lionel Hampton. I
You like
gotta
this,
get it.
man,
I gotta get into that.
Yeah, you
That's
like
probably
that.
hot.
And also, who's his tailor? You know what I'm saying?
You can ask me that. We're chopping up with the
my
mallet
bad.
man.
I'll line you up. I'll line y'all up. Take a ticket, my brother.
Yeah, you need to give him a hat that covers his face like on Fat Albert. Give him one of the dumb Donald hats. We were talking about your time with Lionel Hampton. Now you've been showing, got pictures here, and we got a lot of history at Jay-Z, but let's talk about the Lionel Hampton things, because that was when you was a young man. I mean, still like about 30, but you know. I'm
Yeah,
just
thanks,
saying.
man. I appreciate it,
Look
man.
like a young Cam Newton.
You better go ahead. You better go ahead with that.
But again, spending your youthful years with Lionel Hampton, talk about that, bro.
Well, you know, it blew my mind because, like I say, I was only about maybe 12 or 13. You know, like I say, when your mom, you know, I held on to it. She kept telling me, I used to go to Apollo Theater and, you know, and Count Basie Orchestra and all these bands used to play and sweat used to fall off of them. And she painted a picture in my mind. And she said, Lionel Hampton. I said, Lionel Hampton? She said, yeah, she played this thing. It looked like a xylophone, you know, hit it with bar bells and stuff. And I was like curious. And I was actually at that morning, I was actually in her room sitting in front of the TV, and they were watching a TV show on back then. It was called like Mike Douglas. I think it was the Mike Douglas show. And they used to bring a lot of different artists on. And it stuck with me. And I was curious. And back then, you know, we didn't have the conveniences of cell phones and stuff like that. If we had to go to the library to find a book, we had to use our mind. We had to use Dewey Decimal System. You know what I mean? We couldn't just look for a department and go there for the convenience. So I made it my mission just to read up on him. And then there was a jazz station back in the late 60s or early 70s called WRVR. And it was kind of like what the smooth jazz was, but back then. And the reason why I was listening to the station, because my sister, she grew up with this famous DJ called Pat. Her name was Pat Prescott.
Yes.
And she was a major. She's major. Right, BLS. And then she's out on the wave out in Cali.
Right.
And I just had lunch with her about 2 weeks ago. It was a blessing to see her. But I listened to her, and it was so excited to hear somebody that my sister knew that was on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, and she did a marathon. She did a vibraphone marathon. She did Milt Jackson, Bobby Hutcherson, for those of y'all into jazz, and she did Lionel Hampton. As soon as I heard it, I was like, how does a human being stand behind such a beautiful instrument and just make it talk? You know, make it sound so beautiful, you know? And that was my mission, you know? And then I read books on Lionel. Then after I eventually went to college, I was walking around with Lionel Hampton records. Remember back when we used to have those T-shirts and stuff where you could put press-ons?
Yeah.
Put letters, press on letters. So I used to take letters, you know, I love you, you love me, this is my girl, we go back like that, you know.
There you go with that women thing again.
Oh, you started that vibraphone. But I had Lionel Hampton sweaters, and I used to make Lionel Hampton the man, you know.
Yeah.
So everything I had on was Lionel Hampton, you know. And I walked around and up at Berkeley, and when I was with Bradford myself and all, and we walking around, and they started calling me Mallet Head, stuff like that. And
Now Mallet Head, I'm sure wasn't a term.
that was a joke.
Right.
Because, you know, I used to hold on to these every place I went. You know, being in college, man, you know, these back then cost $28 a pair. When you're in college, you know, I was just hoping I'd get some Big Macs and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So if I was hoping nobody would take them from me or they would break, so I held on to them, and it became my security blanket.
Right.
You know, but never realized that it was going to become the tools that I need to speak to the world.
Yeah.
You know, as the big
Talks with his hands.
Yeah, you know. So one time I was in college, and the cat said, "Yo, how would you like to really meet Lionel Hampton?" And I said, "Get out of here, man. You crazy. You know, I'm in college, we playing. Let's just do it, man." All of a sudden, come to find out, the saxophone player in our jazz ensemble at Suffolk Community College, my first year of college, his uncle was the manager of Lionel Hampton.
Wow.
So he said, next time Lionel Hampton come to town, we're gonna put your name backstage, and boom, that's gonna be the intro. And that was at Lincoln Center. I'll never forget. I went backstage at Lincoln Center. It was Bill Cosby. We won't talk too deep about that, but Bill Cosby,
we'll leave Bill alone.
Nancy Wilson, you know, Sammy Davis.
Wow.
These are all the lists on the band. Man,
So you're in this room
I'm in this backstage.
with just like, I mean,
The A+ team.
you're probably
A+.
floating right at that point.
Bruh. But the only thing that got me after a while was everybody was so much older than me. You know, everybody talking about, oh, you remember when? Everybody had suspenders on, and, you know, they were decked. You know, three-piece suits, hats, gold, smelling like Brute Fabergé, all that stuff. Brute?
Man, like, you want to disrespect me? That's me. He said, I got on Brute.
It was either Brute or High Karate back then.
High Karate back then.
Wild Country or something.
But it actually was the beginning of, and I'm looking at all this cast, and then Dizzy Gillespie walks into the right, you know, and then once I move in with Hamp, then all of a sudden, you know, James Brown is calling up to speak to him, and I'm in the midst of all this, and I after a while I got numb. It's like, these are people that we watch on TV, we listen to their records, you know, we give them the glory, and I'm like, they just coming up, sitting down, how you doing, young man?
And we're talking about a time, and in some ways we're kind of going back to that time, and it's not pleasant, but we're talking about a time when we didn't see a lot of positive black images on TV. So when you're talking about James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, you're talking about Sammy Davis, what he had to go through, paved the way. When we talk about all these names, you know, Lionel Hampton had to go through the back, going through the kitchen. This is powerful. And as a young man, you sitting there going like, I mean, I'm just in awe hearing the story, and this is months years ago. But again, by you taking that and passing it, Devone, even bring that knowledge here, that's what it's all about. Because to keep that internal doesn't even help you. To give that out and watch that blessing grow, because to let people know, if you put the work in, if you have an art, and we get a lot of bullying that goes on today, kids being individuals and being what they want to run their own lane. And they get bullied, and they just try to follow the core because they don't want to be looked at as different. If they can take that Malletman story, look what that took you to, bro.
And even this one right here with Michael Jackson.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
I was in the studio with Lionel Hampton. He asked me to come through. He was laying down vibes for the L.A. Is My Lady album with Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra hired Quincy Jones. For those of you not familiar with Quincy Jones, he's one of the masters of production and composition.
Definitely.
Wrote the theme of Sanford &
There
Son.
you go. And
Did you just say
He did. That's one of it. Listen, Sanford & Son's an icon show.
He
but
also produced The Wiz.
we got that. But
That's
I'm
more
showing
important.
my history, bro. Sanford & Son is big. Go ahead,
You
man.
know about Secret Garden.
Yeah, he's 90s. I'm talking about something little.
dude.
I know about Sanford & Son, all right?
So but Quincy he made Chaka Khan and Brother Johnson.
Yeah.
But when I was in the studio, Lionel asked me to come in. But you know, back in the day when your parents looked at you and gave you the eye, you understood it. You didn't have to, you know, when they said, you know, when they looked at you, you know, don't do nothing. I did something wrong. Freeze. So Lionel brought me in the studio, and he says, okay, go over there, sit in the corner, don't move. You know. So he was laying down vibes with George Benson, Will Lee. I mean, I can go on Al Gray, Steve Gadd on drums. You know, and Quincy Jones let Frank Sinatra let Quincy Jones do his thing, which was a blessing, you know, for this cat to let Quincy Jones do his thing. And then all of a sudden, he got a call, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, Michael Jackson walks through the door with Bubbles. You know, and I'm sitting over here in the corner. You know,
Bubbles
remember
walking
Bubbles?
by
Remember the
himself?
Bubbles? Remember
Bubbles the Chip.
The chip.
Yeah, was Bubbles walking by himself like a big?
No, he was holding him for a minute. Yeah, he was holding him. Yeah,
baby.
Yeah, you
Had,
know.
some Colt 45.
Then he passed
in his
him
hand.
off, and then he called Quincy and said, Quincy, I just wanted to say hello to Frank Sinatra. I wanted to meet Lionel. I always wanted to meet Lionel. And then he walked into the studio, and he picked up those mallets that he got. He's, I always wanted to play the vibes. I always wanted to play the vibes. You know, and at that time.
That's the imitation.
At that time.
He was like, Quincy, I always want to play the bubbles.
That's what he said. There's some footage on it too. And then, see, I was his valet. I mean, I was his roadie at that time.
Okay.
Quincy Jones. I mean,
Right.
Lionel's
Lionel.
roadie at the beginning,
Right.
before I became his protege. So I took those mallets and I kept them. I was like, damn, Michael played with these mallets. I'm gonna hold on to these bad boys. So you know, I have them right now. You know, and it was kind of special. I mean, I wasn't trying to put up on eBay and done, but it was just something internal to say, wow, you know.
This is between Off the Wall and Thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is when Mike was at his height.
At his height.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That might like when he
Before the
started.
nose job?
This is after. This
This is after the nose
Yeah.
job
This is
and
after the
everything,
nose
yeah,
job. This
so-
is like. This is probably like what, like 82, 83.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 83, 84.
Okay. Okay.
So I moved in with Lionel Hampton April 20th at 2:42 p.m. in the afternoon.
Eastern.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time. Yeah.
He got that the other thing.
I pulled it, and you know, moving in with Lionel Hampton was phenomenal, and that was just one of many blessings. I said, with all these blessings, you know, the world has to know about us. Me being a young black man, you know, and for me to maybe make it into the newspapers and not in the wanted section, you know what I mean?
Yes,
not in the obituary section.
That too, yeah.
But, you know, a small blurb in the entertainment section. I was like, wow, that feels good.
You know, you know what? I see a vision that, you know, maybe, you know, you do like a new single, something like a video. You should do it at the Lionel Hampton houses in Harlem.
Deep.
On Rodeo Center.
They know him over there
My
too.
man.
That's right.
For the wrong reasons.
What you mean for the wrong reasons? See what I'm saying, man?
I'm
That's
joking.
Not right. Not
So
right.
again, you mentioned during the break, going back to Lionel Hampton. Lionel put on a sports jacket to take out the garbage.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was
That says a
always,
lot, yeah.
you know, I just, it was just, you know, everybody's different, but I wanted to understand what it was all about. And I don't mean to say Alfie.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand what it was like, what a black man was going through. And some of the stuff that I did like back then was the structure. I never realized the negative structure helped to keep positive structure.
Right.
It's really weird because when I say that, you know, as us coming up, we all had to be in a certain neighborhood at a certain time. We had to dress a certain way. You know, we had to dance. We couldn't even go out to the clubs unless we knew the hustle, you know, or we knew how to do the bump. You know what I mean? Whatever was hot, we were structured. You know? And now that I see so much stuff that's everybody's outside of the box, I kind of miss a little bit of that structure. But with a little bit of structure that I'm trying to present is that if you come sweet, you come dressed like, come dressed presentable, speak words of wisdom, you know, eat right, you know, try to get some sleep right, you know what I mean? You know, versus buying jeans that you could wear for 2 weeks and don't have to wash, try to wash them once in a while.
Right.
You know? Buy a pair of shoes that you can buff.
Yeah.
You know, try to take a button, try to see if you can sew a button on your shirt. These are things these are things. Yeah, how do you know how to tie a tie? To me, those were things of structure.
But you know what? By being around Lionel and all the old heads, the old school, that's how you got your style.
Yes,
See, the thing is that people don't understand. I'm middle aged.
You
and
think?
What? Don't laugh. I thought she was old. But the thing is that, you know, back in the 70s, the guys that had the money, you know, call them what you want to call them, they had style.
Right.
And that's how the young people animated them, because they wanted, not say they wanted to be like them, but they wanted their style, their clothing. Today, because you see these young people, you see them walking around, you know, with ripped up jeans and everything and hanging off their behind and everything. Now you see the youngins want to follow in their footsteps.
There was a time people had to wear a sports coat to the baseball game.
We had pride in our appearance. Our appearance is what got us over.
Gotcha.
You know, that's what got us over. You know, and now, you know.
Let me go with Devone. Now, obviously, again, as a guy who's learning under Malletman, you know, when it comes to style, now Mallet put us all to shame this morning.
Right.
But you know, some of these stories, what have you gained from just like, I'm sure like every day there's another story, or every day there's another like lesson or something that's a correlation. So how have you grown?
Yeah, he definitely gave me some structure as far as, you know, the first couple times I was working with him, I actually had, you know, he was the zoot suit thing, so I actually had a zoot suit on, and you know, this was his band, this is how he wanted to get dressed, so I had to fit in. So moving on, I mean, I don't quite wear the zoot now, but I'm still structured. You know, sometimes I have a blazer. You know, it opened me up, so I'm not just I could do the ripped jeans, but I could flip it and put on a blazer, or I could flip it and, you know, dress.
But you know what, style is how you present it.
Exactly.
Me and you could wear the same outfit, but I may wear it differently than you.
Right.
Me and him could wear the same outfit. I know I wear it differently than him.
Yeah.
You know,
He
but
get
that's the thing.
and,
That's the thing. Style is what you bring out in an outfit. You can wear all the name brand stuff and still don't have it out.
Right.
And I could wear no name brand stuff and have it styled.
Right.
You want a
Exactly.
zoot suit classic?
I have one.
There you go. And
I got three
And a
pieces.
wampa. And a wampa.
I don't have a romper. I never bought that romper.
It's too cold to wear the romper.
No route.
Jokes.
I want to give a shout out. Though,
Yes, sir.
too,
Please, go ahead, Mal.
You know, actually, talking about the CD, you know, there was a couple people that actually made it special for me. Some of these cats. So I didn't know if you were gonna get to that.
We were gonna.
Oh, you gonna
No,
get-
go ahead. No, like I said, you good with the sticks. I'm good with the mic. But let's take a break.
Gotcha.
And let's come back and talk about the album. Some of the nuances, obviously classic collaborations, and we're gonna kind of get into what you got going on right now.
Yeah.
Malletman's getting a little restless.
Yeah, I'm ready
He ready to play.
man.
We ain't got no.
And Jay, if you hit him, that's all right.
We got plenty of tables.
Practice makes perfect, brother.
We got his head, plenty of tables you can bang on if you like. Malletman, Taylor, Divine Touch. Let's get into the album, man. The EP you got, It's a Groove, dropped in August. And it's moving. And again, like I said, you know, I know some people can't necessarily see the camera, there's a little bit of distance, but again, It's a Groove. Let's talk about some of the people you worked on. I mean, obviously we played the Tony Terry cut, George Clinton, the one we just played that Watching You, that was hot.
Yeah, Slave.
Let's talk about the album, man. Let's talk about the EP. I mean,
Yeah,
EP.
man. Well, we can talk about that. You know, first of all, I gotta give a plug out to Dawn.
Yeah.
And my publicist Kelly. You know,
Yeah.
You know what
Listen,
I'm saying?
Dawn's the beast. Dawn be sending me text messages like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I like that because that tells you what people really about.
Publicist,
No,
yo, publicist. No, it's
please.
publicist. My publicist.
And he's the one who shut down Watergate as a kid. He's one that got Nixon and
They need
Sponge.
me in the White House right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get him out of here. But let's talk about when you started this project. You got a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
Obviously, Devone. But when you started this project, man, what was the semblance of getting this great talent? You played George Steinbrenner a little bit. You started picking out best players, and how did that work?
You said George who?
I'm talking about the
You
Yankees.
said
That was a
Steinbrenner.
bad
You
analogy.
said Steinbrenner.
Yeah, you know how Steinbrenner
You're not a
Yankee players.
You're not a Yankee fan either.
It's not
I'm a
important.
football man, but it's all right.
Okay. Well, like Al Davis, getting everybody
Okay,
together.
gotcha.
How about that?
Yeah.
But you put together an all-star team.
Yeah, but you know what? Spiritually, everybody's, you know, a lot of my spiritual sisters are saying that this is favor. It just happened. I like you turning on the radio and TV and seeing all what's going on in the world.
Right.
You know, it's madness. You know, it's politically, beating up old people and all sorts of negative stuff that's out there in the world. And I felt that, my last CD that I dropped on the Mallet Records was in 2005. And it was live at Mallet's Place. And Mallet's Place was a jazz club that I had for 3 years, and it was a blessing with that. But since 2005, I felt it was time for me to step up after 12 years and then try to make a difference from what I know. I want to speak well in what I do best. But I was confused because the industry had changed so much. Big studios and the big bands and recordings, the whole thing changed, So I sat back and said, what better thing to do is to go to my protege, who's young, innovative, powerful, talented, a new master coming up that's played with the best of the best, Divine Touch, and say, help me. I said, brother, help me. You got the ear, you're right in with what I'm doing, but how do I turn it into now?
And that says a lot about you because most A personalities don't necessarily go to other people, even if they need the help. They just say, I'll ask in an incognito type way.
Right.
But that just shows what you're about through your whole career. Like again, I need a younger ear. I need somebody who's a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess.
So I asked Devon, I said, how can I do this, man? He said, well, what you got? I said, well, I got George Clinton, and I got
George Clinton.
and I got George. Have you ever heard of George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic for you guys out there?
Yes.
And we can go on just for those. It's really weird because some people don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, and I said I got George and Steve Washington from Slave. Slave watching you and
we
just
friends.
a touch.
Yeah.
And Steve, Steve and his mother, they were big fans of mine.
Yeah.
They became fans of mine. I was in Jersey. So Steve went to George and said, yo, we got to sign this brother. So they signed me onto a production deal they had an independent label called TFL, which was for the Fearless Leader, and that was under Sony, on the Sony Productions. And they brought me in for 17 months. We laid down those 2 cuts that are on the CD, and Sony froze them. So So I told Devone, I said, yo, well, I got these 2 cuts, man. George, they mastered. He said, all right, well, we'll see what we can do. Then I said, boom. I said, well, last week I was just hanging out with Tony Terry. And Tony Terry, for those of you really, he's a 2-time Soul Train Grammy, a 2-time Soul Train Music Award nominee.
Right.
He did the song With You. And I was supposed to be playing vibes on that.
Yeah.
He did the Lovey Dovey.
Yeah.
And
Lovey-dovey.
but his manager pulled me out of it. So Tony said, "Yo, Mallet, all right, let's do this." He said, "You set it up, I do it." So I got one of my originals. You got it customized with the Devone. Boom. We got Tony to blow on it. Bang. Done. Then I had another song. Then all of a sudden I just put it together, and everybody's like, "Look, let's play ball, man." He said, we got our platinum on our wall. Let's see if we can put something on your wall.
Okay.
And
So
then
my grape Kool-Aid, your green
there
Kool-Aid. That's
you
my
go.
new drink.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
the touching on the cake was the new generation. He introduced me to this cat that I didn't know, and his name is E-Bass. E-Bass is one of the baddest producers and mixers. He did Snoop Dogg, he did Kanye West, Jay-Z, and Snoop Dogg's.
Yeah, he did All Falls Down. He did Bonnie and
Yeah,
Clyde.
E-Bass
Jay-Z.
Johnson. I mean,
Yup.
yeah,
He's one. He's a major name,
yeah.
and he's a good friend of mine. That
That was cracking.
Yeah,
on.
it was crazy.
Who's this guy E-Bass?
And
He got a job. He work at White Castle. What he do?
yeah, and we did a couple of records together. KRS One with Showbiz, Guysville's album, couple things. But he's a great friend of mine, and I knew I have to link this up if.
So this project just is almost like
It just snowballed.
how your career almost started,
Yeah.
almost a retrospective of I just found myself in the Lionel Hampton's house, and I was hanging out in college with Brant and Marsalis, and just all these things just meshed, and now it's metamorphed itself full circle.
So I
Right.
felt that, so the story of this CD is to talk about, how I started in Brooklyn, like I said, and this is stuff that I heard, and over a period of time, it transformed itself into just that.
Right.
With blessings and with some of the best artists in the industry.
Yeah, no question. Devone, let me ask you this question. When you got all these guys in a room, now you know E-Bass, and you know how he moves, and obviously you know how Mallet moves. You sitting there going, I'm going to put all these A's. It's just like having like 10 LeBron James
Right.
How am I going to make all this thing work?
Right. I just took it from, like you said, his he had an album called Vibrafunk. His thing was, I play the vibes, and I'm not gonna just stay in a box. I'm gonna stay outside the box.
Yeah.
So what happened was I was like, okay, let's try and push the envelope. I know jazz is, normally swing this. Let's do a trap beat. So there's a song called M-A-L-L-A-T, Mallet. It's trap.
This ain't no trap house music.
Yeah,
right?
but it's trap jazz.
Okay.
So so we got that, and then we got the one with Tony Terry. We just trying to push the envelope and keep real music alive, and saying, hopefully this is a little thing for musicians or everybody else to say, listen, you don't have to stay in a box. I know this is what everybody says you have to do to make it, but just it's a groove. Just make it feel good. If it feels good to you, I'm thinking everybody else will.
Because we had that's the Sonic, the friends of the show, Bobby Simmons and everything. We had them all up here, and when you said y'all brought the jazz with the new age music, they did that also with hip hop. They put that song with a touch of jazz, and they brought hip hop to jazz. So, sometimes, like I say, the bridges, like I said, y'all just making a new bridge. You know? And one thing, Jay, did we hit everything on your checklist? Because every time we talk, you hit the check.
I just got to make sure that
you got 2 more.
I got 1 more, 2 more to go. You know what I'm saying?
Every time
I feel this every week. All my life, he's actually my
I just
brother.
want to make sure we hitting everything.
I know. Well, also I wanted to give a plug out to my endorsements, because what blossomed from all these blessings is that now I have my own line of mallets.
Okay.
So it's their mallet, signature mallets, named after me, Jason Mallet's here. Nice. Jason Mallet, man.
These can actually be weapons too. In the Bam!
Oh, come on, Rashad.
So Mike Bolton makes my mallets out of
Yeah.
Chicago, and the Yamaha
Nice.
is actually they're the ones that cover my vibraphones.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
And let's see, Dream Cymbals. I have my cymbal, and then what is it? Oh, AKG. I got signed with AKG.
Nice.
AKG is audio. They
Yeah.
specialize in microphones, and I represent their C516 ML microphones, which clip onto the vibes.
Right.
And I also represent their K551 headphones.
Nice.
So you know, so it's
Online. So you kind of branching out.
branching out, you know, because I notice when you have corporate support, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
you have a good product, and then you have favor, then it becomes part of the package deal to present as one ball.
How you think Beats by Dre started?
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Without question.
My man.
We got about 4 minutes left, and I want to thank you, brothers, again. This has been a really great conversation.
Education,
It's
man.
education, it's music, but it also shows about just whatever you choose to do in life, just do it. Don't worry
Right.
about what anybody else thinks. And we, in this society, we're so conscious of what everybody thinks of us. Just do what you want to do. This album here, it's a groove. Go get it. Where can people find this album? But
Well,
before
they-
you say that, I'm gonna get you there. Before you
Add
say
that on
that,
the checklist.
you got this out. It's been out now almost 3 months. Where's this going? Where do you want this to go? What's the vision of It's a Groove, and obviously the new legacy of Mallet with Devone and everybody else you're working with? What's the new step?
Well, first of all, like I say, as much as every artist wants to say, "Oh, it's great," you know, if you got a wife, you say she's the best, you know, what she does, you know, that's because she's your wife, you know. I got, I'm part of this record label that started back with Lionel Hampton, 1984. This is my 9th release on the Mallet Records. You know, I can sit here easily and say, "Oh, it's the best," but it's not about me. It's about my mission. It's about what God wants me to do.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's about keeping real music alive, and it's up to the people.
Yeah.
The public has to tell me
What
that
they think.
that this is gone. You know, eBay's pulled me aside and said, "Look, man, I'm on some. I got my platinum. I did." He said, "This is good for X amount of numbers." So I want to see if that really happens.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the number. You know, like I say, when you're born,
It's irrelevant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ain't about the numbers. I just want to know that when those ladies came up to me and said, "I got your CD, I wore it out," I'm like, "Yeah." You know?
sure she wore it
Yeah, she said, "I wore it."
She wore it out.
She wore it out. You gotta watch this guy over here, bro. Ever since the vibraphone.
All she played with that same cut over and over. Hit that tune.
I can't spin it, but I can do that.
One-on-one.
Real quick, Mallet, where can people buy this? Where they get this EP from?
Well, first of all, they can get it if they want to purchase it. I always recommend to buy the actual CD because if you open it up,
Oh.
you got history there.
Yeah.
You know, you got Bernard Purdy, one of the most recorded drummers in history that plays with me. He's not on it, but his picture's in there. He's the original drummer for Aretha Franklin. Chester Thompson.
What you want?
Chester Thompson, the original drummer for Genesis, and Frank Zappa, which is a different world. You know, then you got George and Steve Washington. You got the pictures. You got E-Bass. You got me hanging out with Tony Terry. And I think it's something that you want to see, you want to touch, you want to hold. And then we got Devone Touch in the back.
And you got him styling there with the hat. And he doing it.
But you can buy it on CD Baby. Actually, you can buy it on Amazon. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on iHeartRadio.
Okay. Like us.
Oh yeah. iHeart, what's up, baby?
We need a tune for that, man. We need a tune. you know?
What I'm gonna do, obviously, we're gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out to Dawn and your team, and we're gonna get this to our site where people can find this again.
It's on the site. It's on the site now.
That's how fast he moves. Some days, I don't need the union. I don't have to call the union for him to move that quick.
We fed him a good breakfast.
Oh, you fed them? You got the Cheerios?
Cheerios.
That's the champion.
You was like you were still outside.
And back in the day, you took your Geritol, remember the Geritol?
Some of us still doing that.
I'm going back.
Real quick, Malletman, where can people reach out to you? Social media, contact you?
Social media, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Jason Malletman. I'm not into all the Facebook. I'm like straight up in you. You know, you hit me, I hit you. You know, we sit down, we get down to the, we want to pray together. You want to make a difference because I'm about making a difference.
Yes, sir.
I ain't talking about what.
Amen.
You know, so it's about my Lord and Savior. And I found him with the help of Psalms. 150, let timber ring.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And but like I said, you can hit me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And I'm catching up on the other things. You can catch.
You ain't on the DM.
And what I don't have, Devone, you can catch Devone
Where
on.
your information?
Yeah, you can catch me, Devone Tuch Allison, DEVONE DA-VINE
Thank you for
Touch.
spelling that.
IG is DAVINE_TUCH. That same thing for Twitter.
On my website, malletsplace.com.
We need that. That's
Malletsplace.com.
There you go.
He also
I had distractions from you.
he also has
She was taking
he also has a TV. He also has a TV show, Malice Place TV. He needs.
Oh, so
Oh, now he's humble.
and his fashion from Phil's fashion.
Bob's Scooby grab bag.
I'm trying.
Listen, bro, this has been fun. Thank you so much for coming. Devone, thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
history,
Devone, like, you
man.
don't know, man. I was in the studio probably 6:30 this morning, so
Yeah.
I appreciate you
Oh,
guys
man.
coming up, man. Let's do this again real soon, man.
Love it, man.
No
Love
doubt.
it, bro. Love it.
Malletman, Taylor, Devone Tuch.